you guys a question. With these two pictures, which picture would you say was taken in Africa? If you think A, raise your hand. If you think B, raise your hand. Okay, and that's exactly what I want to address today. Both of these pictures were actually taken in Africa. I believe this is in Morocco, and this is just a picture of poor children. And my inference and what I've seen throughout the years, even being here in university, is Africa is depicted as very poor and hungry, and they're AIDS stricken. That is true. However, there are two sides to Africa, and that's what I'll be talking about today: the beauty and the beast. So within Africa, the continent here, there are 53 countries in this continent. It's the second largest continent in the world, as we all know, and it has so many cultures, people. And today I'll be talking about the people, the land, the cities, and just then the beast of it, which is the AIDS, the poverty, the hunger that ravages the land. So here's the beauty. She's actually Miss Kenya, and they held the contest in Kenya, Nairobi, which is the capital of Kenya. So these are just cities such as, this is from Morocco, that's, we have Lagos, Nigeria, we have Abuja here, and that mosque is actually from Abuja. That's Cape Town, South Africa. These are just different cities just to show you that places in Africa are very beautiful and even resemble some places we see as in Europe and in the United States here. Okay, this is Nairobi, Kenya, and in Kenya actually they have, it's the 13th largest city in Africa, and they have the Nairobi Stock Exchange where a lot of things happen, as in money is exchanged, just like the stock goes on here. And Nairobi, Kenya is also the capital of Kenya. So to talk about the clothing in Africa is very rich. You have different clothing from different places. This is predominantly West African kind of clothing. That clothing up there is a clothing of type of East African clothing, and that's why I brought some props here to show you. You can take one piece of these are just jewelries. You can take one piece of cloth and just make it into anything really. And I can show you an example of that, such as this. Very vibrant colors. I can take it with just what I have on right now. I can take it and wrap it around me like this and go outside with it. Or I can make it into a style, which is how a lot of people might wear it. Tie it around here. You can see I can make it into a dress, just like this. And there. And that is a piece of clothing that you can find mostly in West Africa, but a lot of African countries kind of wear similar things, just like differences in material probably. Okay. This is some more clothing. That is actually predominantly more Swahili, South African clothing up there, what the women and the men are wearing. And again, these are West African clothing, and you can see I'm in there, just showing off some of them. These are different kind of West African clothing that there are. Food. Food is very different throughout Africa. Up here we have couscous, which is found a lot in northern Africa, whereas like Egypt, Morocco, Algeria, and Libya, things like that. This is actually matoke, which is found in East Africa. I ate that when I was in Uganda, actually. And this is fufu, which is just a powdered substance. It's like flour. So you would take, let's say, wheat flour, boil water, and put it in, and you have, that's your stipend food they have there that they eat a lot. And plantain is Central Africa. A lot of countries in Africa eat that. It's like a common food. Okay, now influential people. Like Africa has they have different cultures, different foods and clothing. Then you have people who have impacted the continent. You have your runner up there. His name is Asbel Kiprop. He actually won the gold medal in the last Olympics, which were the Beijing Olympics. He's from Kenya. Then we have a basketball player. I don't know if you guys know him. His name is Hakeem Olajuwon. And he's a Nigerian who took the Houston Rockets to the NBA twice in '94. And you have Nelson Mandela. We all know who he is. Very influential character in South Africa. He was in prison for 18 years, and he came out, and he was the first black president that they had in the new election. This is sorry guys. Okay, that is Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. She was the first woman president in Liberia, which went through civil war for many years. And so that's an accomplishment for them. He's a runner from South Africa. We have one from Mozambique here, and then we have another runner from Kenya. And athletes are very influential in Africa because that's something that Africans do very well. They participate in Olympics, and they've made great strides. And animals, something we all know and are familiar with in Africa. So we have the zebra, lions, things that we've seen, and these are not, they don't just roam like we're here, we don't just see animals, they are in certain places, such as the wildlife. These are just, again, the animals. And these are just ordinary people in Africa. This is from that was from a school in Uganda, and those are personal pictures. And the beast. The beast is what we hear about constantly, every day. We see this, we know this, we're familiar with it. And that is just a picture taken in '94, actually, won by Kevin Carter, who won the Pulitzer Prize, which is like the prizes for photography, movies, things like that. And it's just a child who was found going to a refugee camp, and he almost died. He killed himself 3 months later of suicide, and they don't know why, because of depression. And that's the vulture, actually, the vulture waiting for him to die so that they can eat his flesh. Poverty, you have a child looking for food in an animal's butt, I guess. And then you have a child there, look at the legs, they're so thin because of hunger. You have a child, because of the lack of water in certain places like the Sahara, you have a child rinsing themselves with the urine of an animal. You have children living in poverty and living by garbage, and that's how they live. And then AIDS, which actually strikes 2/3 of the AIDS patients in the world are in sub-Saharan Africa, which is below a certain zone. And just a fact is, more than 12 million children in sub-Saharan Africa have lost at least one parent to AIDS, a number that is growing at the rate of one child every 14 seconds, so that by the year 2010, sub-Saharan Africa will have more than 18 million children orphaned to AIDS. And that's a picture taken in Uganda to help you through that. Those are my sources. And
just make sure you do a summary, like a conclusion as well.
Okay. So the beauty and the beast of Africa, the people, the cities, the cultures are vibrant and live, but also they have a beast that is eating away from the community. But I just want us to remember they're both sides to Africa.